Yes. People watching and everything. You guys hear me? I'm not sure everyone's working. I'm just waiting to make sure my what's up to both captions working. So yes, it is. Very quiet audio. Is that any better? How's that? Is that any better? Change microphones. Cool. All righty. I'm supposed to have Jeffrey here, and he's trying to get on, but it's not letting him in. Let me see if I can invite him again. Copy. Hang tight with us, guys. Send him another message with the link. How's everybody today? Nice. It's beautiful Sunday here. I was just out driving my Camaro. Got Alan Bailey. I can see you. I can see Timothy Sittler. Scott. I can see you. Let's see. Who else can I see? Mr. Buchanan. Bernard. Hope everybody's having a good Sunday. I'm just going to make this a quick little deal here. Try and get Jeffrey on here. I don't know what's going on. Hi, Nick. What's the weather in you guys' area like today? It's 70s, 70 degrees and sunny here. What's going on here? I don't know what's going on. Jeffrey's having some difficulty. This can sometimes be a problem. Technology. I wanted to talk to you guys today and give you some updates where the Eagle Obsession has gone and what we're doing soon in the works. Plus, we've got a what is that? Indiegogo, like the Kickstarter but smaller, available. We're kind of in between our investors, and they have to move money around, and it's a big. I'm glad I'm not handling that part. That's for sure. Jeffrey's going through all that stuff, but we're kind of in between. Two or three of our investors have put money forward for where we're at now, and then we're waiting on the rest to come in. So we're gonna do a little Indiegogo donation type thing for the next few stages as the money starts coming back in. So obviously, I'm gonna call on you guys to help us out if you can. We'd appreciate it. This in no means me doesn't have anything to do with not completing the documentary. It's just to keep it on track. We need to go forward because we've got a lot of editing and stuff like that to do, and we've still got some interviews to do. So I want to make sure Jeffrey wants to make sure that we don't have a pause because of the investors pausing, whatever you want to call it. So, all right, Timothy, I am in Eagle Heaven, aren't I? This is my little getaway. So I got three things that keep me busy. Well, four things really. All this, the propulsion ships and all the Space 1999 groups. Anything that has to do with Space 1999, it's quite a large task for me. I got a lot going on. Another reason sometimes I'm very bad at catching messages and returning messages, answering back replies. So keep remind me if you wanted to talk to me or you're looking for something. Um, those messages that I get every day on a daily thing, they're like Facebook. They move down, and I don't realize that I've missed them. So Scott's rather warm north of Boston. Boston, that's a, is it? That's a pretty nice place to live, I believe. I mean, still not letting him in. What is the deal here? Okay. He's going to try a different platform. Firefox. I'm surprised Google's not working for him. I know Safari won't work with StreamYard. I found that out the hard way. Hey, Glenn McBride. How's it going in all the way over there in Australia? Glenn, speaking of Glenn, he runs the Mattel Eagle Facebook page, so you should check it out. He about any Mattel that's ever been out there that somebody's got a picture of, he's got. It's pretty good place. That's where I got a lot of my information on how to do mine. Jeffrey's still trying to get in. I'm gonna look down through here and see if there's something I did wrong. Different Glenn. Sorry. You're right. It's not. I need to get my shit right. One of these days, Todd. Oh, that's Glenn McGrab. Yes. My bad, Glenn McBride. I saw the Glenn in the MC and I was like, boom, right there it is. My apologies. But welcome. Ah, so did you guys see the video? Like the little, what do you call it, reels for the Indiegogo? 6 a.m. in Australia. Wow, that's a big time difference. Let me look in here and see if my settings are keeping him from joining. Guests, stream. No, everything here's set. There he is. Welcome, the director of the Eagle Obsession, Mr. Jeffrey Morris.
Hey, how you doing, Todd?
Yeah, good. How are you doing?
Good, good. It's a little technical issues there this afternoon. So, for some reason my browser wasn't working. Chrome wasn't. So
Yeah,
had to change over to another browser. Sorry about that.
yeah. Sometimes that happens. I know you can't use Safari.
Yeah, I'm a Mac guy, so Safari is kind of standard for me. So then I went over to, yeah, we don't have to talk about this. The point is, I got it working. So
Yeah, that's good.
yeah.
I was just kind of going over what we wanted to talk about today about the Indiegogo and where we're at with the project, and you'd
Oh
probably be
yeah.
better at updating everybody with that news.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, bottom line is we are over halfway done shooting. We've got the completed Eagle cockpit sitting over in storage right now near Pinewood Studios, and we're gonna be pulling that out in April and getting it set up, and we should be shooting with Brian Johnson, Nick Tate, and a few other surprises. So we're pretty excited about that. But in the meantime, going back into production, first production since December, we're going to be starting again on Tuesday in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm going to be shooting with Dr. Cyan Proctor, who was one of she was actually the pilot of the SpaceX Inspiration 4 mission. And she, which went up a couple years ago, and she's a huge sci-fi fan. So she and I are going to be talking a lot about how sci-fi influenced her and led her into her life. She's not actually a Space 1999 person, but we're using our interview to kind of bridge the gap of talking about how science fiction inspired a lot of people to go into careers with, science and technology and that sort of thing. So it's going to be a really fun conversation. So I'm doing that, and then a bunch of other stuff, and then filming with Michael and Denise Okuda next weekend at a place called Global Effects in California, and we're going to be talking about the show For All Mankind and how it depicts an alternate reality of what might have happened if the Apollo program hadn't ended. And we're going to be using that as kind of a part of the conversation. I think if everyone's seen in that 12 minutes, it's been a big part of this journey for me, is the idea that this story is trying to, I'm trying to tell a story that's a lot bigger than the Eagle's part of the story, but it's really about, going to the moon and the dreams that a lot of us had about going to the moon, and then how I think the Eagle in Space 1999, being set on a moon base, that was a logical leap for a lot of us, and having that conversation. And again, a lot of my thesis is that connection to the real space exploration at the time is a big part of why the Eagle and Space 1999 resonated with so many of us, So I'm trying to tell that bigger picture, that story. So that's part of why I think it's really going to be fun to talk about the show For All Mankind and talk with the Akudas. And we're going to be looking at sets and props and space suits and all kinds of cool stuff from that show. So, yeah. And then yeah, I mean, there's still Barbara Bain. We've got our interview with Barbara Bain coming up also in mid-March.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so that's going to happen. So Barbara Bain, and then some other really, really cool things happening. So then we'll get that done, and then we should have our final big blast in England in April, and then we should be on the way toward post-production, finishing this thing up. So
Yeah, it's exciting.
yeah.
And I've been able to actually see it from the other side of the camera too. So it was a blast doing the Wonderfest, stuff, and then doing the interview here at my house and everything. That was I learned a lot about filming.
How filmmaking works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you did a good job, man. It was, I know it wasn't normal for you, and it can be kind of nerve wracking at first. It's like I'm on camera and all these people, but you come across like you chilled and you got it, and we did it. We did really well, and I think it turned out great. And I think everybody can see in the video how great you look. It's really fun, and it was very important to me also to give context of where you live And the fact that it's so neat that right there in the middle of Indiana, you got all that. It's super cool. And I think that's part of the story, right? It's like, and the response that we've had to the 12 minutes that we obviously, as I've told you, that 12 minutes is just bits and we're doing excerpts, right? It's like, so your actual interview is going to be probably at least 2 minutes longer in the final piece, at least 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes probably. And so 2.5 minutes longer. And in that 2.5 minutes, obviously there's all the stuff we talked about, how did you keep, maintain your love of the Eagle? And then how did you start Props and Ships? And how did you get the whole NPC thing going? And then we're also going to show Todd's Corner and how you have this podcast and everything. So all that's we shot all that, right? But for that 12 minutes, obviously I didn't want to put all that in there because it's, I wanted people to just have a taste of it, so.
Right. Yeah. It was just a preview. We wanted everybody to see what we've done so far. So.
Right. Exactly. So, but the real thing is going to have, it's going to be, and it's the same with all the interviews, like all those interviews. Like I interviewed Charles Duke for, gosh, we talked for like 50 minutes, it was almost an hour of conversation he and I had. Yeah. I could make a little mini documentary of just that. Which is pretty cool. So yeah. So but anyway, yeah. So it's Jan is the same. We've got a lot more with Jan that's going to go into the piece. There was a whole bunch of really funny stuff behind the scenes of us putting it together and everything. But I wanted to just give a little taste of it. So yeah.
I just wanted people to hear from you and you're going to get those naysayers and hecklers out there in the world, but we're 50% of the way done, and I was just kind of explaining to him that we're kind of in between a short period of when the money comes in from the investors.
Oh yeah. So I mean, just to tell you, in case anybody's wondering, I mean, like we're basically seeing if we can get some funds to do a little stopgap for us because we actually have a couple of very big investors who are looking to come in. It just they're having a lot of trouble moving money around to get it to us. That's part of the problem. So when you're talking about, a project like this, at the end, this has got a budget of about $1.5 million, a little north of that. And, what we spent to date, I was able to raise, and I was also able to self-finance and put a lot of this together to get it this far. And truthfully, the location shooting is not really the problem. It's like, it's not that expensive. That's why the point is if people could kind of help us out with this last bit, we can knock this thing out because it's not that expensive. It's really about the vision and having the right camera crew and the right goals in terms of how we're shooting it. And that's part of it. It doesn't have to be, I think people, just so everyone knows too, I've done a lot of research and been talking with other producers. The average quality documentary that's being made right now has a budget of about 2.5 to 2.7. That's the high end. 2.5 to 2.7 million dollars is typical. Where our budget is right now at about 1.5. And part of why we're at 1.5 is because we've got these really cool things planned with visual effects. It's like I'm planning, like we said, and everyone can see the visual effects we did that's like at the end of that video, and you can see some stuff. I mean, obviously we're not trying to make modern energy visual effects that feel like they're from something like a video game or a Marvel film or a new Star Wars film or something. We're trying to basically say, I'm trying to put myself into Brian Johnson's head, and I'm trying to imagine if I had the tools that we have now digitally and that sort of thing, and I still had miniatures and I did a combination of those two, what would my effects shots have looked like 50 years ago? And that's what we're doing is effects like that. But we have some things planned that are going to be really cool. Like one of the things we're doing, I'm in the middle of developing the storyboards on it right now, but we're actually going to reimagine war games, the Hawks versus the Eagles. And I have a really cool sequence in mind for that where, it's basically, I'm trying to imagine it from the viewpoint of us when we were kids, and like if we could have had our ideal space battle between the two. It was super cool in the show. It's fantastic, really well done, right? But I'm trying to think of like, what could you do in 2024 using that? And so we're building cool models right now. Tobias Richter's actually building models of the Hawk right now. So and we're updating the model of the Eagle to make it more accurate. And so Chris Trice, you can I listened to you. I heard you. We're updating. We're updating. As a matter of fact, I will have Tobias consult with you as he's finishing his model of the Eagle. But we're going to get it more accurate. And obviously, there's no quintessential Eagle, but I'd like to be close as we can get to a good middle of the road, Eagle.
Right.
Yeah. And so I really want to do some cool. We're also rebuilding Moonbase Alpha digitally. And there's a bunch of stuff we're doing for this that stuff costs money. We're doing some, we have in the budget to actually build more of the Eagle than just the cockpit, the interior. We're talking about building out the airlock section behind it and everything as well. And we're building out we're building an actual workable buggy, moon buggy and everything, right? So we're doing that for the documentary. So all that stuff's happening. So that's part of what the cost of the documentary is, right? And a lot of that really has to do with prepping for the shoot in April. And then we do that. Then we get into post-production, and there's a lot of expense with trying to actually edit this thing and put it all together and stuff. So the money we're trying to raise right now is just to basically finish our production. And then by the time we get past production, I think the big money funding that we have slated will kick in, and we'll be in a good place to finish it all up. So, but it's a lot of negotiation. You've been around. I've talked to you about this the whole time. It's like this, these investors, it takes time to convince them to come on board. Then once they agree to come on board, they have to, it's not like they can just sit there and write checks. It's not like they just have the money just sitting there available. They have to move money around and do certain things. It's just, and I've been trying to move as fast as I can on production and keep the production moving and not just stall because investors are moving money around, so
yeah,
it's just the pain of being a filmmaker. Yeah.
Have you ever taken one of those, like your tax check to the bank and put it in? They want to hold it for 10 days.
Yeah. That's
ridiculous.
well, so literally, some of the investors that I'm dealing with, they're over in the European Union, right? And there's all kinds of laws around moving money around and money laundering and trying to anti-money laundering and stuff like that, right? And it's actually more and more complex as time goes on. It's not. It used to be like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it would have been a lot easier. But at this point, I have an investor who was like, "Hey, I'm going to come on board," and he was ready to go, and then the bank held up his money, and then he actually had to completely restructure his entire finance plan and then open a new account and everything just to get the money freed up. Now he's finally got the money freed up, so we should be in a good place to keep moving forward here within the next month or two. But it's you get it. It's really, really complex and it's difficult, and a lot of both of the big investors I have who are on board, they're moving money around, and it's international funds. It's not just the United States. So that's part of why this is. So everything that I've been able to pay for and do so far, it's been with investors, and like I said, personal money. My wife and I put quite a bit toward this, and gladly, because we really think it's turning out great. And the thing I'd also like to talk about is the fact that I'm really trying to produce this film and direct this film to, it's obviously documentaries are not my focus. I'm really wanting to, when people finally see what I intend to do as a director, it's going to be much closer to what you're seeing in Dune and things like that. It's like that's, as a director, I'm trying to do big stuff like that, and so I'm trying to bring that kind of bigness to this documentary, and I think that shows in that 12 minutes. It's a lot of what the cinematography is about, and using the flying, the drones and the cameras stuff that we're doing. So, and honestly, the stuff I have planned, I was just meeting with my production team. We're going to blow away what you've seen in the 12 minutes. That was like our learning curve. So now the rest of this documentary with the other shoots, we're going to blow that. It's going to be way past that, as far as the quality and the cinematography and stuff.
So yeah, I'm sure everybody gets what we're saying, and I just didn't want anybody freaking out, going, "Oh my gosh, they're not going to make it."
Oh no.
We don't need those. This is a very small amount that can be done very easily, and we're depending on our Facebook friends out there to help us out, and you still get something out of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so we absolutely are hoping that if people come on board and kind of help us get through this gap, that'd be great. If so that's all. We're just trying to see. It's always good. I mean, documentaries quite often are financed through grants and sponsorships and, people who are like-minded, right? And so I think we have a responsibility to try to reach out to the community and stay in touch. And I think people in the community have known that I've been very responsive to feedback, and I've been willing to listen, and I've been willing to collaborate and everything. By the same token, I do have a vision with what I'm trying to create. And I think the people who really want to get super, super hardcore on the Eagle, I think they're going to be much more excited about the coffee table book we're developing, Todd.
That's cool.
Yeah, the book is going to be the thing that I think people are really, it's going to be the book on the Eagle. When that book is done, it's going to be fantastic. And we're tapping an author named Jeff Bond, who's he's done all kinds of cool he did this fantastic book about Star Trek the motion picture a couple of years ago, that the art and visual special effects of Star Trek the motion picture is a fantastic book. And so he and I have been talking about how we could do a book about the Eagle. And I've basically outlined how I wanted to handle it. Is like, I want to go from the genesis of like looking at UFO, the UFO second series that didn't happen, to the genesis of Space 1999 and how the MTU happened, and then how it turned into the Eagle, and then all the design work around that. And then I want to go into, okay, so then once we got past the design work, then what did it take to actually build and execute and do the special effects, and everything. So it's kind of the genesis, the execution, and then we're going to go into merchandise, and then we'll go past merchandise to art, the art of the Eagle and everything. And then what I'd like to really do in the art, I want to talk about all the different types of fan art that's been done and all the cool stuff that's happened. But the last section of the book that I'm really hoping to put together is like, I'm hoping we can get like a brand new set of blueprints made inside and out that are just super, super iced, like just so cool, like that are just like this modern set of, and I'm hoping to consult with pretty much anyone who's been part of making these blueprints and design, layouts over the years. I'd like to be able to access that. I don't know who we're going to tap specifically to make that yet, but this is all in the works, right? And at the point that we're ready to launch that, we have a company that we've been working with, that they've done a bunch of successful Kickstarters for specialty books that are genre specialty books. And we're going to be partnering with them to do the Eagle book. So it'll be an Eagle Obsession coffee table book that should be really, really cool. So yeah. Oh yeah. I see this comment. Yeah. Jeff Bond, he's a friend of mine. Been over to his place and seen his model. His models are amazing. He's actually building for me a refit of the Enterprise from the Enterprise refit, from Star Trek Motion Picture. So I'm hoping to have it here in my office once, for when we're shooting in my office in April, to start to, pull the movie together and everything. So that stuff. So Jeff Bond's awesome. So that's part of why I wanted to tap him on this. So, and then we're also going to consult with some other people like Piers Bazzani. I want to tap people in the community again, like Chris Trice and Chris Potter. And some others, and try to, get feedback. I like to talk to Roberto Baldessari, it should be a lot of fun. And I so it's a whole project in and of itself. So the coffee table book, though, is the one where, like I said, I think what will happen is, I think the Eagle fans and Space 1999 fans are going to feel I think you're going to feel very happy and satisfied by the documentary. But it's not a technical documentary about the Eagle. It's about the cultural side of the Eagle, right? That's what it's really about. And and if you look at our I don't know if you talk much about what happened on YouTube, but just to give that story briefly, we finished that 12 minutes, and that 12 minutes was basically in order to, I was creating it so I could show it to investors and sponsors and everything, right? And I thought, well, we just need to put this on YouTube, because sometimes people like YouTube links more than Vimeo links, right? I put it on YouTube, and I had no idea that this was going to blow up like it did. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy. And so we just 2 days ago crossed 200,000 views on this. And if you look at the comments, there are over 700, almost 800 comments, and they're universally positive. And and I really feel like I'm learning from those comments too, like who our audience is and what, and it's interesting, because I think there are people who are seeing this that aren't in Space 1999 fandom, right? Or Eagle fandom, but these are people who are just coming out of the woodwork going, oh, I remember that, or oh, I used to have that. It's really funny aside, Todd. I haven't told you the story, but the other day I was working with there's a guy that in Arizona who I'm working with on the locations for the shoot I'm doing with the astronaut, the SpaceX astronaut, and we did a Zoom call, something like this, in order to talk about the plant. And so we start talking. He had never seen the documentary. He doesn't know what the documentary is about. Nothing. This is just some random dude. I'd never met him before. We're on the Zoom. We start the call, and he goes, "Hey, before we go forward or say anything more, I got to compliment you on that Space 1999 Eagle back there." He's like, "You got that Eagle behind you." He goes, "Man, I had that when I was a kid. I love that thing." And he had no idea. This guy had no idea that we were making a documentary specifically about that.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of the call. It's crazy. So my point is, I think there are literally going to be millions of people around the world who are going to be like, "Oh my gosh, I was touched by this. This was awesome," right? And so I'm trying to make a documentary that's going to reach all of them and all of you and people who have never heard of Space 1999 and never heard of the Eagle. That's what we have to do. Yeah.
Even people back in the day that actually bought the model, and they probably never even watched an episode. They
Right.
just model itself.
Yep.
And they're going to see, "Oh crap, I built one of those. I didn't know this was all this is. I didn't know anything about this."
Yep. Exactly.
This is as close to a fan film you're ever going to get.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not what we're calling it, but the fans have had their, I'm just trying to you've been a part of this from day one. Everybody, all the fans, and he's taken into consideration all of us.
Yeah, I really have. I really tried to do my best, but as everyone knows, there's also the challenge of trying to get this onto a Netflix or get this into the theater, because that's part of why I'm shooting it the way that I am. I'm trying to make sure that it could actually project theatrically. That comment that was just on there, I want to say thank you.
That was Paul Lawrence. Yeah,
Paul, thank you very much for your kind words. Thank you and everything. Yeah, thank you. But I gotta sell those people, right? And they don't know what the Eagle is or care about Space 1999 at all. So I gotta figure out, how do I sell them? But I'll tell you this. Showing them 200,000 views in 2 weeks and all those hundreds of positive comments, that's the way to prove that there's an audience for this thing, that it's worthwhile. So it's and that's another reason why I want, if people can help us out, that's awesome, because it just gets us closer and closer to knocking this out and getting it done. Which also, by the way, I want to announce on this, I have decided, I don't know exactly how we're going to do it or when, because I got to finish this documentary, but I am planning before the premiere, after this is in the can, and I'll talk out the timeline of what's left for the movie, the documentary. But I want to do, starting next fourth quarter of this year, I want to do a little mini documentary that's centered 100% around Dragon's Domain, and I want to talk about how Dragon's Domain messed up an entire generation of kids, and because literally everywhere I talk to, I mean, there's what I hear, three things about Space 1999. I hear people like, "Man, that ship is really cool," or they go, "That episode, did you see that episode where that monster thing?" Right? People say that, or they talk about, "Oh, I love Maya." That's kind of the top three things as far as me and the world. That's the things that I run into. But Dragon's Domain, obviously, it had this massive impact on me as a kid. Seeing that as a little kid, I don't think I should have seen that as a little kid. I want to talk about the world at the time, and how it was. Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's like I have. If you look at the YouTube comments, there's got to be a significant percentage of the YouTube comments where people are like, "Oh man, love the Eagle. That episode scared the hell out of me." You know what I mean? It's like it just goes on and on, right? Yeah, exactly. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I was 8, you were 9. Yeah, exactly. So so I really think we have to talk about Dragon's Domain. It's a really interesting cultural discussion, and I don't imagine it being longer than like a 30 to 45 minute little piece, but I think we could have a lot of fun talking about that, and everything. So that's kind of like the sequel to the Eagle Obsession, is something about Dragon's Domain. I want to do that. I just feel it. I got to do it.
Yeah, we got to do something like that. That'd
be fantastic. Yeah. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So I want to do that. So those are kind of our 3 projects, right? There's the Eagle Obsession, there's the Coffee Table book, and then there's some Dragon's Domain little Dragon's Domain piece, you know. So that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they seem to like this. I've got all kinds of uh, comments on that.
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
should go open it up. Like, where, if I wanted to open it, can I do it on Facebook to see?
yeah. There seems like they're on a few of the different Facebook pages,
Okay. All right. I see it here.
or you
Okay.
can go to the YouTube live YouTube.
Okay. Okay.
It looks like I'm on. I can't tell where I'm at because I don't want to shut it off. But yeah, there's
Okay.
a lot of comments.
Okay.
But and the fans are going to be recognized in this also.
Oh, well, look, everybody also, I do, one of the things that I'm planning to do in this again is at the, there's a sequence in the documentary where I want to show photos of people with their eagles. And, you know, like there's one part that's just kids with their eagles in Space 1999 paraphernalia back in the 70s. That's what I want, you know. So if you guys have photos like that, let's figure that out. Get them to me because I want that, and I'll have to get you to sign a release or whatever. But I want to use photos of you back in the day. Okay. Then I also want to have photos of people now who are, you know, who are collecting, you know, eagles or who are creating art of eagles and things like that. So all that stuff, any fan in the world who wants to do that, I will try to find a way to get your image, you know, either here in the documentary or certainly on the website. If you guys have been to eagledocumentary.com, there's a whole section on there where people can share their stories about how much they love the Eagles, send in photos. You know, I'm really, really trying to open this up so there are ways that you guys can access this and be part of it.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
So if you guys remember back when we first got the 22-inch Eagle kit, after they started being delivered to everybody sent me pictures of them holding the box, and I did a video on it. It's somewhere in our group. I'll have to revive it and post it. But yeah, so now you'll be showing the Eagle that you built or somebody built for you. That'd be awesome. Or a dinky or whatever you had back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of fun doing that video.
Oh, so yeah.
It was, and everybody was just super happy.
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah, we just wanted to jump on here today. This is not my regular show. We're still going to do it on the third Sunday of March, which is, I think it's St. Patty's Day. Mm-hmm. Everybody have to wear their green.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else you want me to cover or talk about. I mean, it's like we're planning to finish shooting by the end of April, beginning of May at the latest. There's one section of shooting that'll still. So what you do is like there's you guys heard how like I did voiceover on the piece, right? So like what I did is I cut the piece together and I left spaces and then I wrote the voiceover based upon what we edited. And so then that was like last. The voiceover was last. So the very last bit we're going to do is all of our voiceover work, and then also there's kind of an on-camera like interstitial thing where I'll be talking to the camera and telling you all the stuff, and then that'll go to voiceover and that kind of thing. So that's the very last thing we're going to shoot, and that'll be probably in August or so once we get the edit done. But we're going to start editing in May. We got May, June, July, August editing, September. Finalize our post in October. And then we submit it to our film festival in November 1st. So yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll be cool. And then it's just been an amazing
18, Tim. You were probably okay. Yeah, yeah, being 18 years old, you can handle it. But you got to understand, like I was 8. You know, right. So I was 8 years old, man. That was really something. So yeah, but yes, the model work is phenomenal in that episode. Yeah, that's another thing. And maybe we can even talk about that too. Is like not just talk about it scared us all, but like what a cool episode, what a cool right. Production. What an amazing accomplishment for a TV episode in 1975. Right? It's really cool.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
That's the one that usually pops up with people saying, "I remember that episode."
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So that's funny how that's one of the things that everybody remembers.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, the car wash.
Yeah, the car wash monster. That's what my sister and I
Car
call
wash monster, yeah.
it. We called it the car wash monster. Yeah. So
Oh,
yeah, any other questions or comments? I'm happy to answer any questions people have.
yeah, you can put them in here real quick because we got about 10 minutes left, and or you can email them or put them in the Eagle is Land or the Eagle Obsession documentary group page. That's what it is.
The
Page.
Facebook page. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see. Yeah, Mark says he grew up with the violent deaths and Captain Scarlet, and I didn't realize they were that those were that way. But like, the more I watch UFO and everything, I'm like, wow,
Oh man, no. I mean, UFO was dark.
yeah, dark. That's
UFO was dark, and UFO. I love what UFO for me is that's my favorite all time favorite TV show, and followed by only by The Prisoner. There's UFO, The Prisoner. Those are kind of my top two TV shows of all time. But UFO, like man, they like got dark. They would, you'd end episodes on tragedies and you know, Commander. You ever see the episode Commander Straker's son died? And he couldn't do anything because he couldn't change the mission or whatever and get the. Oh man, that was just so dark, and it was just it was gut wrenching at times. And I know that's part of why that show. I think people struggled with it too, right? It's like, well, was this show for who's this for? Is this for kids, for grown-ups? What? So yeah. UFO is another one that I love. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So you can always shoot me over questions also, and I'll get them to Jeffrey. No problem. We talk several times a week.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but the one thing that's cool about this doing this Indiegogo, which I kind of wish we had done instead of the Kickstarter before, is that we can do a variable, in terms of the collection at the end. We don't have to hit our goal. We can whatever comes in, we can utilize it for the documentary, which is great.
Right.
So don't look at it and go, well, they're not going to hit their goal, so I'm not going to contribute. It's like anything you guys want to contribute would be helpful. $25, $50, whatever. That helps us to get this thing, down the road, because it helps us pay for. We've got permits we have to pay for example. There's all kinds of stuff like that. Like when I'm shooting with Bill George in San Francisco, we're shooting at the Presidio, and they're charging me to be able to film there, for example, right? But as you can see with the quality of what we're doing in the documentary, I didn't want this to just be us sitting on a soundstage with two talking heads, like 60 minutes or something. I think it needs to feel big. It's a big story. It's an interesting story. It's a travel log, and that's
good. We did double that just in the Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, let's just take that money that we didn't spend then and put it towards this and give us that little stop gap or pause gap, whatever, so we can get through and keep on going.
Yep.
We got to keep production going, or it will postpone the.
Well, here's the thing: if we don't keep moving, this is the best message for everybody. The more that there's a delay, the longer it is before we can put it out and finish it, right? Because that's the thing. And I'm trying to keep momentum going, and I didn't want to stall production just because I'm waiting for investors. The investors are there, and I believe they're coming. We have agreements, we're developing it all, but there's time, and it's like I can't go and say, all right, I got to wait now 2 months before I start shooting again, because then that just means we won't make this won't be out in time for the 50th anniversary because of that. There's always, I don't even understand that, right? It's like when you look at a movie like Dune that's out right now, right? That was produced a couple of years ago. These films have timelines that are there, and all this stuff that has to be shot, produced, posted, and all this. So there's it's not instantaneous. This stuff all takes time. So the longer we delay, the longer till it's out. And so we don't want that to happen. We want this to go as fast as we can. So we really appreciate any assistance you guys can give us. And also, if you could, reach out to other people. Certainly, here's the thing: anybody who was a skeptic, I think you can see that 12 minutes and know that we're for real. We're not playing games here. We're making something that's a real movie. I think honestly that it's a better quality than a lot of documentaries already with what we produce. So it's like we're trying to, it's we're trying to make a real movie. You know, not we're trying. We are making a real movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You don't see all that stuff when Godzilla comes out or something like that. That's been probably 3 years of production and all that stuff that you don't notice because all you do is hear, well, they're working on a new Godzilla movie, and then boom, it's in the theaters. That's when you
Mm-hmm.
know about it. You
Mm-hmm.
don't.
Right.
You're
Right.
seeing everything that's in between here.
That's right. That's right.
Uh,
Yeah.
Timothy asked you about the Saturn.
Oh, well, it's funny because Saturn V is like a huge. It honestly was the number one icon of my childhood. It's funny. Is here I'm going to scoot this over here, but if you look on my wall right there, there's a Saturn V poster, a picture of it that I framed, and the Saturn V was like a huge deal to me. You know, seeing it up there, 300 plus feet long and vapors coming off of it. You know, as it sat there, and it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing, and um, I just, it was really, first off, it was a real honor because NASA liked the project so much that they let us have that whole facility to ourselves. That's an entire huge visitors complex in Florida. And they actually let us use that for several hours, just me and General Duke, which was amazing. And that's the kind of thing that we're trying to do with this documentary also, is getting exclusive access to things like that and everything. But to get to meet Charles Duke was a very, very big deal to me, to actually shake hands and hang out with someone who walked on the moon and spend an hour just talking about space exploration with him. He told me stories about things that I'd never heard of. I mean, he was telling me all kinds of things that it gave me a very, very different perspective on it. You know, he actually, instead of that kind of classic thing, the astronaut kind of thing of like, well, no, it was awesome, it was great, it was perfect. I mean, he literally said things, and you saw it in the 12 minutes. He talked about, like, I was scared. I was scared it was going to fall apart, would this thing actually hold together? And he talked about that. He meant that. He talked about, the challenges. And I said, did when you were up there, did it feel like a big triumph to you, or did it feel, he's like, man, I was trying to do the job. I was up there trying to do the job. We were very concerned that we wanted to make sure that things worked right. He goes, I did have a lot of fun, and his crew was awesome. He had this amazing crew. Basically, John Young, the commander, was a good friend of his, and he had a great sense of humor. And Ken Mattingly, that was a cool crew. And so we talked about all that. We talked about he told me stories about the command module and reentry, and what it was like entering the Earth's atmosphere at 25,000 miles per hour, and what that, and he told me some things about how the aerodynamics of the command module were actually designed to allow it to enter the atmosphere. And there were parts of it that were heavier than others, so that it would enter at a certain angle instead, and obviously there's a danger that you go in too steep and you burn up. If you go in too shallow, you bounce off the atmosphere and go back out into space. And we talked about that sort of stuff. So literally those scenes you see of me and him talking, we were talking. that wasn't just for the camera. I mean, he and I had a really engaging conversation about what it was like to go to the moon and come back. And that was awesome. That was one of the greatest moments of my life, actually, to get to do that. It was a huge honor. I think you can see it in my face, the smile on my face when I'm talking to him. I mean, when I first started, it was a big deal. But what was really a huge honor for me is that he genuinely wanted to be there, and he genuinely believed in what I was trying to do too, which was really cool. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he said thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, anybody got any more questions?
You're welcome.
Throw them out. Looks like we're getting some stragglers coming in. We're about done here for today. So, look, bottom line is we can do this, this Indiegogo thing. If everybody pitches in, I'm asking everybody in the groups, everybody in the YouTube, just donate whatever you can afford. That's all we need.
Yeah, we just, every little bit helps, and it helps us get through. And we just want to keep momentum. That's what it's about. It's not about, hey, we just need some cash. It's like, no, we're trying to keep our momentum and everything. That's what's up.
With Jordan, Jenna, and Avery and Aubrey, and my dad said I would give you that.
Okie dokie.
Little
Great
little,
authors. Gotta love them.
little special guest star there.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So let's do this. Yeah, I've donated. Obviously, I'm Jeffrey's donated. We're all putting our own money in it. So, and I'll put a link in the comment section here for you guys, or you can watch the 12-minute or the Indiegogo video reels. It's got those in it, or go to the headquarters page.
I also want to make sure everybody knows there's not one penny of this that's going in the pockets of the crew or me or anything. We're not. I'm spending my money on this. I'm not getting money going to me. So it's just, but it's I'm trying to find ways that I'm not doing everything. So yeah.
It's pretty tough to sponsor a film like this.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I'll definitely put some links out in the Facebook groups, and there's reels out there right now with the links and all that stuff. We'll help you find it. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we really appreciate your help. It means a lot to us. And if you guys anybody wants us to do another special session, or there are groups you like us to talk to, I'm here to do it, whatever you need. So
okay. Yeah, actually,
yeah. Okay.
Indie filmmaker. Hell yeah. So we're gonna cut this one out. Well, enjoy the rest of the day, everybody. Happy Sunday, and we will see you next time.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. No, happy to be here. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
We will catch you later.
All right. Bye, everybody.
All right, guys. Go out there and donate, please. We appreciate every little thing. I'm telling you that right from my heart. This has been a almost 10 years for me with the Props and Ships group, and everything that we've done over the last 10 years. You guys have always come through, and I appreciate you. So have a great Sunday. I'm going to go out and drive my Camaro around. So you guys take care. I'll see you in a couple of weeks for my regular show. We got a pretty good lineup for a couple model builders that have done a lot of things with studios and stuff. So make sure you guys stay tuned. I'll put some teasers out there for you. Have a great day, and be safe. Be safe. I'll see you soon.